So, Suzanne, how's your day been?
It's been pretty good. We
Yeah.
just now finally started getting some rain, so that is nice. I've had to wait on cutting the hay field because we've had no rain, and the grass gets extra stressed when it's in a drought. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
tends to be higher in sugar, and since I try to cut my hay lower in sugar for horses, and I gotta have a good solid rain before I cut it, and then it's all gonna be good.
So, when it rains, it releases more sugars into the hay.
It actually allows the grass to put the sugars back down into the roots. So when it's stressed out, usually in drought seasons, it'll put more sugar up into the stem to kind of protect itself.
Cool.
So when it rains, it kind of calms it down, and happy hay means happy horses. So
Huh. I did not
and
know that.
happy customers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All my
yeah.
all my customers like the low sugar hay, because high sugar
Hmm.
is great for cows, but not so great for horses.
Yeah. Does it make the does a horse get colicky with real sugary hay?
Yeah,
Or
they can get colicky. They get something called laminitis, which basically is inflammation in the feet. It's kind of like horse diabetes, essentially. And
huh.
just like diabetes is a huge issue in America, it's now a huge issue in American horses because everything's just high sugar.
Huh. Wow. So the days of giving sugar cubes to your horses are over? Do people still do that? I mean, that's like I guess I grew up, you want to get a horse to love you, you just give them little sugar cubes. In fact, you give the horse one and you eat three yourself.
Uh, I don't know that people still do sugar cubes because I think even just trying to find them in the store is almost impossible. But
Yeah.
a carrot or a little slice of apple, people do that. But I mean, back in the day, horses lived to be like maybe 15, and then
Yeah.
they just fell over dead. Now, like people are riding horses into their 30s, and so it's just different standards of care and what's acceptable and what's expected for life expectancy.
Yeah. Do you have horses yourself?
I have two, yes,
Okay.
and mine don't have any issues yet, but they potentially could. So they're also my taste testers. So people are like, "Oh, how's your hay doing this year?" I'm like, "Well, my horses are saying it's extra low in sugar because they're eating it slower.
That's
Because
funny.
if it's
So
extra high, then they eat it faster."
so they'll tend to eat lower sugar hay slower than they will. They like I guess they're like kids eating candy. They just
Yeah.
want to eat as much
Yep.
candy as they can right away. Huh.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Exactly.
I didn't know all that about. I grew up with horses. We had, gosh, my stepdad was kind of a horse trader, and my mom was in love with horses. We had an Arabian stallion when I was a
Oh.
kid, and yeah, and my mom wanted a black Arabian stallion, and I think she had a brown one, and I think there was what was the name of that movie? There was a movie back in the '80s with an Arabian stallion. Uh, I think it was set in the Middle East. I think the name of I can't think of the name, Sharif, maybe? That was the name of our horse, was Sharif. And Sharif
Okay.
stepped in a hole, a groundhog hole.
Oh
And
no! Broke his leg, and
yeah,
that was in the tree.
yeah, what a horrible, horrible day. You know, folks that are watching, if you don't know, when a horse like that steps into a groundhog hole at a full run, I mean, and an Arabian stallion is a wild creature, like
Yeah.
insanely wild creature. What you got there? You got is that a dog or kitty? Kitty cat?
It's a cat. He's my
Okay.
cabin cat, so he's just gonna sit here and lick my arm to death.
Must have some salt on you. Anyway, people that don't know about horses, when they break their leg, that's it. I mean, there's in most cases, unless you're talking about $1 million animal, and that's the end of that horse's life. I remember that day the power was out. We had a big storm, and my dad had to go down and put the horse down. And oh my goodness, how what a day in a child, in the life of a
Yeah.
child on a farm. Just spooky day, And we always
How
said he's
old was
buried
the
under.
horse?
He was probably two. Yeah,
He was really young then. Oh my
really,
goodness.
really young. Yeah, really
So
young
you probably
Arabian
didn't even
stallion.
breed him or anything yet.
Nope, nope. He was just pretty much a colt, and yeah, my it stepped in a groundhog hole. That's what we think anyway. It came up to the gate, to the barn, and it was pretty gruesome. It was not. It was broken clearly. Like it was very,
Mm.
very broken. So yeah, had to put him down. He's buried underneath a big oak tree. Every time you drive down through the field, I still think about it. And that was 1980, 87, I think, 86 or 87. So I was 9 or 10 years old. May have been before that. Might have been 85. But yeah, it's that's a bad day, for sure. So I mean, guys, I guess we are live now, and it's after 8 o'clock. So we're going to introduce you guys. This is Suzanne from This Life We Live. Your channel name has changed, but I'm still thinking you're WT Farm Girl. Does that mean What the Farm Girl?
Yes, it does. It means what the farm will. I've had people ask all sorts of things. They thought it was West Texas. Hey, I'm like, nope, it's WT Farm Girl for What the Farm Girl. It was kind of a play off WTF just because of
Yeah.
so much chaos that was happening. But then when I Googled that on YouTube, like there was a lot of questionable material that came up. So I'm like, I think I need to just kind of just do two of the letters and not all of them. So,
Uh,
still people will still like see some of the merchandise. I've had people come back saying, yeah, somebody freaked out because they thought my shirt said WTF. And I was like, no, it's WT and then farm. But yeah.
so
So I
is
do
that why you
still
changed the
have,
name?
no, so I changed the name because people were complaining that the farm was just, there wasn't anything exciting happening. It was the same old, same old. And honestly, on a farm, that's kind of what you want. You don't want a lot of drama. You want things to
Huh.
go nice and smooth. So I thought, I was kind of trying to figure out which way things were going to go. And then all of a sudden, Eric announced that we were going to start building a house. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really quite fit under the whole farming schematic. So I began thinking about doing a more inclusive name instead of, What the Farm Girl, because more of the housework is being done by Eric and some of our contractors and me, but a lot of Eric. So I'm like, let's just change it up so then we can include just kind of the house and maybe some farming and whatever else shakes out in the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was kind
Yeah.
of reason for that.
Gotcha. So, do you do you still consider yourself WT Farm Girl,
I
or
do. And I do still
you're the
have a
WT Farm Girl
secondary.
on? Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a secondary channel that I did, which is a throwback of all my original videos. So
Okay.
I have been trying to get videos out every couple of days, but I've been pulled up recently because of farming. So I haven't been able to put as much time into that. But that's going to be more geared just towards farming. So that's going to have some of my old videos, some of my new farming videos, and still keeping the whole, WT Farm Girl idea alive and
Gotcha.
well, but just not as much of a focus.
Gotcha. Now, for those who don't know, you guys are in Eastern Michigan. Is that right?
We're kind of like West Mid Michigan,
Westman.
so we're
Okay.
just we're just north of Grand Rapids.
Okay. Cool. Cool. And you have, was it 87 acres? And you
Yep.
guys do there's a lot of wooded acreage, and then you guys do custom haymaking, I guess for horse farms. What kind of grass do you typically grow out there? Are they cool season grasses or timothy or what you got?
So yeah, so since our primary customers were going to be horse customers, I did a lot of research as far as what the best type of hay for the horses would be. And of course, being low in sugar, that gives you the cool season grasses, which grow out here. We've got Timothy, you've got brome, and you've got orchard grass, and I think a little bit of Kentucky bluegrass. So we went through, we planted everything out with Tekapo and Persist orchard grass. They're kind of more of a mid-southern type of grass seed, but it's supposed to do well in northern climates too. But they're supposed to be extra low in sugar for the full season grasses. And so that's really what we focus in on. And our soils are just amazing for growing hay. It's very hard clay, which I know you've got clay out there too. But our
Yeah.
grass, when it grows up, the nutritional balance is just perfect for horses. So,
Huh.
besides being low sugar, it meets every nutritional goal for a horse. So that's also why our customers love it because their horses just do so well.
Cool. Now, do you guys put down fertilizer every year? Do you have to lime your fields? I mean, I assume how many acres of hay? Now, you guys are transitioning right now into something new, and but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
But before your transition, and guys, this is struggle. This is farm. This is struggle. This is work. This is like it's so hard to eke out the tiniest profit on your land. This is really tough. So what was your routine? In the fall, spring, did you fertilize? Do you lime? Do you send soil test every year? What was your routine?
so we had to go through first when we bought the property, it was completely vacant and all the fields were overgrown. So we had to strip all the bushes and trees out of the fields. So that took a lot of work. Definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So our focus now is on trying to, I don't want to say organic because it's very, very hard to be organic. A lot of people I know are really pushing the organic thing, and that's why you've been doing the crop rotations with your cows in the different fields. But for us to grow hay, it makes it very difficult to do that. We try to get
Yeah.
people out here to put their chickens out on our fields, like in the wintertime, but people don't really feel comfortable doing that. So we do a mixture of the orchard grass really likes urea, but sometimes I'll do whatever blend our local fertilizer company recommends. Really, I like to get manure down on the field because it's so much healthier for your
Yeah.
soil and for everything else. We've also done controlled burns, and our fields really thrive on those too.
Hmm.
I think some of our best producing areas were from burns long ago that we did.
Really? Does
Um,
that do you find that controlled burns, do you do that in the fall, early winter? When would you do a controlled burn?
I don't know. We've only done just a handful because it honestly terrifies me because
Yeah,
we've
it
got
terrifies
so
me.
many woods all around. I mean, these farmers that do it, usually what you want to do is you till up the perimeter around it and then you burn everything in the center. But if you were to do that, you would take out a good chunk of our fields.
Yeah.
So, um,
So you're
for
walking around
this
with a
one we
pump
did,
sprayer.
yeah. And you know what?
Yeah.
I tried that and I didn't have any luck with the fire. It started going down into the creek area and catching right on fire. So we just had to chase it down with shovels and rakes and just beat this thing down with it. And I still
People.
like am emotionally scarred from the idea that that could have just taken off into the woods. But yeah,
It
I mean,
sounds like it. I can hear like the tension in your voice. You're like, it did so good, but it sucked so bad. Like this was so
yeah,
awesome for the fields, and it sucked.
yes.
Yeah, that's why I don't burn. I can't. I don't do it out here. And I know. When we were kids, growing up on the farm, I grew up on a 360-acre farm. We had cows, and we would burn almost every year. And it would be me and my dad and my mom, and we'd be as kids out there just stomping fire. Like
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
started spreading too far, we just went
Oh,
out and pitter patter with our feet and stomped it out. That's tough to do on 300 acres. That's a long day. That's shin
yeah.
splints right there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, trying to keep up with it, moving in every direction. I mean, our fields are small. So, I mean, we can, keep it managed as long as we don't get a wind popping up. But I can't imagine, people with hundreds of acres trying to do a burn. You need some
yeah.
serious manpower for that.
Well, people don't understand that fire is such a natural part of an ecosystem, and that we just
Hmm.
don't have fire anymore. These grasslands, the
Right.
reason they're grasslands is because of fire. I mean, if not, they'd be forest land.
That's true.
Fire and wind is the reason we have grasslands. So, do you consider Michigan, is that considered the Midwest where you live, or is that
Yes, it
considered?
is.
Okay.
We're kind of
So
like
I
the
don't
tail
know.
end of the Midwest.
Gotcha. So I don't, I don't think I've ever been to Michigan. Um, I don't think I've ever been to Michigan. Uh, I'm a Kid Rock fan, if that makes any difference. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean
it,
it's an interesting state. Like the southern part of Michigan is very flat, but then there's also a lot of marshy areas. I think just because it's lower, and you've got the lakes and things right there too. So I mean, Michigan is kind of a unique area because it's almost like you live next to the ocean. I mean, you catch the
yeah,
right breeze, and you can smell the lakes, and it's just
yeah.
like smelling the ocean. And you're in South Carolina or North Carolina?
North Carolina. I
North
like
Carolina.
Virginia. That's Virginia right there. Like I'm
Oh.
that close to Virginia. I'm way north in North Carolina. So
So now can you
yeah.
smell the ocean from your house, like on a
Uh,
just the right day?
no, we're 4 hours from it. You can smell the frog pond down here on just the right day. But
I believe
no,
that.
maybe on a when a hurricane comes through and it gets we get a tropical breeze, you might be able to kind of get that ocean feel, that ocean spray kind of smell. But we're
Okay.
uh, we're a good 4 hours west. We're like right smack in the center of the state. So everybody's heard of
Oh,
Asheville and all the stuff that went on in the mountains of North Carolina. And everybody knows about the Carolina beaches and Myrtle Beach and all that stuff. So we're
yeah.
just
Yep.
smack in the middle of that. Back in the background here, that's the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we're in a very beautiful place where land is cheap. Um, Amazingly enough, I don't know. You guys bought your farm. Did you inherit your farm, or did you guys just decide
No.
you got me? So tell me about that.
So we were in housing development, and we were having a lot of issues with the new company, blah blah blah. And so Eric's like, forget this. Let's just move out and get 10 acres of land, and then we can cruise around. And at the time, he had 6 kids, so I was like, yeah, there's so many kids out to play. I mean, but there wasn't anything for sale. Like trying to find a house with any sort of property was non-existent. So after a while, our realtor just on the cuff said, "Oh, here's that property that one of my clients has up for sale." There's nothing on
Yeah,
it. It was just not even electric. And they just kind of shook out that we ended up deciding to buy this and put a camper out here so that we could eventually build. And then that fell through. So we ended up putting a double wide out here and said, well, someday down the
yeah,
road, we'll build a house.
yep, yep. I'm in that someday period too. But you guys are starting to build now, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've been doing it for a year now. So we
Okay.
have a 2 year deadline put out by our township. Normally, it's a 3 month deadline to build a house if you have a house already on the property. So that's the contingency, which doesn't make any sense because, anybody else could spend 10 years building a house. But if you already have a house on the property, you only get 3 months.
Really?
So,
Huh.
yeah. I guess because there are big concerns that you're going to rent out the house while you're building it. I don't know.
Why is it any of
Just,
their business? That's a better question. Why does it?
um,
It's your if it's your land, your property, your place. Why is it anybody else's business at all? Like if it's not like you're going to sue the state if you fall off of your
yeah.
couch. So why would it even matter? These are the struggles that I'm going through on my place too. Beside me is my barn dominium, which isn't quite a
Mhm.
barn dominium yet. I had troubles just getting a septic permit for this, and I've had code
Really?
enforcement called on me. I've just had one thing after another. And you want to do it right, you want to do it legal,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
they almost force you to sneak and do stuff because it's so overregulated, and it gets more regulated every year, I think. So I don't know. I think that's the city part, the city coming out to the country. That coin. Have you ever heard the term city?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I
just
don't
a
hear it a
just
whole
the person.
lot, but on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we need the government for sidewalks, so we'll have something to walk on. We don't need the government out here, man. I don't need them. I don't need them to tell me where to put my fence. I don't need them to tell me where to put my toilet. I don't need any of that. And it's sad that we have to beg for permission to do anything. I'm sure you had to. I call it begging for permission. If it's a permit, it's permission, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I stir that pot. I'm a pot stirrer. Um, so you're transitioning the farm now, from all hay production to Christmas trees. Is that right?
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, one of Eric's company owners is a farmer too, and so they were doing cattle and they were doing hay. Probably more like your operation than like ours. They had a lot of cattle, they did a lot of hay, and the guy's like running a business too. Like I don't even know why he could do it. He's like a multimillionaire, but that's what he loves to do. So, one day I don't know how he decided he was going to start growing Christmas trees for a commercial, selling to other businesses. And so he was telling Eric about it. And Eric's like, hey, that sounds like a great idea. So he
Yeah.
came back and was telling me about it. And I'm like, well, that means we have to rip out our tree fields. So I gave it some thought. My first answer was no. Like, I don't have anything else to do around here. But you gotta always analyze. The thing with farming is that you always have to stay one step ahead. You have to diversify yourself. Just maintaining one single niche is very hard to do. So I thought, well, are we able to grow the hay business? No, we can't. I mean, we can clear more woods, but that's going to take time. By the time the grass starts to really get thick, we still have to have another barn filled up to store hay. We need to upgrade our hay equipment. I mean, you end up on the bottom end of the finances at that point.
Uh huh.
It's just not, and it just isn't financially feasible. So I thought about the Christmas trees, and I called the old owner of the local Christmas tree farm that had just retired a couple years prior and picked his brain. I wanted to know the numbers, right? And he
Yeah.
was so nice that he actually told me, how much they charged for their trees, and I think he charged like $60 per tree, and they sold 2,500 trees the last couple of years within 2 weeks. So they sold out of all their inventory in 2 weeks and had to shut down. So they worked 2 weeks out of the year with their clients, and they made all that money. But then he made double the amount of profit in his gift store.
Okay.
So you got profit from the trees, but then you also have profit from the gift shop. And so I just sat down and started punching the numbers out. I'm like, gosh, this just makes sense,
Yeah. Why
especially
do
since we're
hay?
just down the road. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I love being on the tractor. I love looking at all the nature around me, but just the long-term feasibility, you got to be able to grow your farm and not just maintain. And it's not possible to grow. So
So
it's
if you're
going to be
start,
something but what's that?
well, I was gonna say you're starting a Christmas tree farm. Are these bare root saplings that you're getting that are like this big? You just stick a wedge in the ground and pop them in the ground, and that's it, or
Um, so we've done it a couple different ways. Some tree farms will actually give you potted trees, and so you just pull it out of the pot and you plunk it in the ground, and they're probably about that big, and that's a good way to get started. But the most popular method is the bare roots, and you can get them any size. I put white pines in that were 300 this tall. They were like
okay?
24 inches tall. So the advantage of that is that the tree is older, so then it matures a lot faster than a tree that's like this big.
Right, right. People don't understand that a tree this big will grow much slower than a tree that's this big. I mean, it incrementally,
Yeah,
the larger the tree is, the faster it grows until they get this big, and then they start kind of slowing down. Until you're got an 80-year-old
yeah.
tree or something like that. But yeah. So when do you think your first harvest? When do you think your first year of Christmas tree harvest? And are you going to do that like? You gonna have people come and cut the trees for them right then, or are you gonna have them all
Yeah.
sitting in the lot, or
So we'll probably, depending, because I plan to advertise at least a year or two ahead of time because I want to have like hit the ground nice and hard and like
yeah,
bring clients in. So we're gonna have the Christmas trees. We'll probably have some pre-cut trees because it just depends on how many U cuts we have available that year. And so that's the
gotcha.
hard part is that trees, even though you might put them all in the ground this height, they grow at different rates, just like kids do.
Yeah.
So you might plan for 500, but you might only have 300 that are, at a cuttable height. So we're hoping that maybe in 2027, Christmas time, that should be pretty good. We've already got trees that right now are up to my shoulder. Not a lot of
Okay.
them, but there's a couple of them. And so they'll be over my head by the time they go into winter. So they are
Nice.
starting to get to that point where they're taking off. But,
And
we're
then you're going to
planning
be
to have,
overwhelmed. You'll have too many Christmas trees. What are we going to do with
uh,
all these trees?
yeah, so that's the interesting aspect is that we started with 1,100 the first year, and then we skipped a year because we just didn't have time, and then we put another 3,000 in, and then this year we put 1,700 in. So we've got just under 4,000 trees in the ground right
Wow.
now, and it doesn't look like that when you look at it. You're like, oh, that's probably just a couple hundred. Like, no, that's a couple thousand
Wow.
because they don't take up that much space and you can just really pack them in.
Now, do you? My cousin's getting into Christmas tree business also. He lives
Oh, okay.
right up in the mountains right there, and he has a machine that rolls along the ground, and he just drops it in this thing, and it bloop bloop
Yeah.
bloop. Is that called a plant? Do you have one of those?
Yeah, it's a planner. We do not. They are very expensive and hard to find used.
Okay.
So the thing with the planner is it works great for a fresh planting, but if you have to go through and replace some trees or just down the road or in a tight area, it doesn't work so great. The first
Yeah.
year we tried the auger on the tractor, and that was a pain in the butt. Then we also tried the shovel. I did 600 pulls by hand in 1 week, and that was a
Oh.
nightmare. And heavy
Oh.
clay. So, but then we came across a really neat American-made tool called the Power Planter. And we actually
Okay.
found them at the National Farm Machinery Show in Kentucky. And so
Okay.
we were talking with them, and they make these like super augers that go on these big DeWalt drills, and it
Yeah.
just blasts through clay. So I mean, we can punch holes fast, just shoom, 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 shoom. So that
Cool.
allows us to plant any size tree that we want to plant. So big ones or small ones, or
So do you have like a heavy duty drill with two handles on it, and you're just bam, bam, bam,
yeah,
bam, bam?
yep, we
Cool.
do. Yep.
That's
I mean,
cool.
it'll take you out if you're not careful, but it bites through that
Oh
clay like
yeah.
nothing else.
That was going to be a question I asked you. And by the way, guys, I see a lot of comments in here. Everybody knows I'm single. Suzanne is married to Eric. Eric is back there putting flooring in the back. So yeah, everybody's giving you compliments. You probably see the comment
Oh, I
threads
don't
going
even.
through.
I did not. I didn't even know. Oh,
Yeah,
I
they're
don't think I
saying, is
have
every
any.
farmer as pretty as
Oh,
you?
okay.
It's pretty funny. So
No,
um,
I didn't. I
so
didn't even know. I could see comments. Sorry.
yeah, they're rolling through. They're rolling through. So what the next thing I was going to ask you is, so are you full time? Are you and Eric both full time on the property, or do you guys have town jobs, or what do you do?
So Eric is full-time auto body painter. He's one of the top
Oh,
auto body painters in the state. So even if he wanted to retire, I don't know
you
that they
couldn't.
would let him. So they've got like this death hold on him right now.
Nice.
So he's just basically crunching out as many hours as he can right now, and just putting it into savings, putting it into the house, and then the goal is to be able to make enough off the farm so that it can 100% support all the finances. And we are debt free, so we have that going in our favor that we don't have to worry about making this payment or that payment, but we do have to worry about what the tax bill is going to be after the house is done.
Yeah.
So, but I am full time on the farm, so I'm doing all of the hay and most of the Christmas trees. Eric does help with hay collecting. That's his famous job is he gets to ride on the TYM with a grapple accumulator and collect all the bales and swear at it and kick it and
Oh, nice.
all that
You were
fun stuff.
You were saying that so the accumulator just it slides along the ground and accumulates the
Yeah.
bales and then picks them up and you set them on the trailer or in the barn. Is that right?
That is correct. It is one of the cheapest accumulators out there. I mean, you can pick them up for $3,000, but it is the most aggravating piece of equipment ever invented. I mean, you literally want to take fireworks to it and just blow the snot out of it because because most hay fields, get little dips and things like
Yeah.
that, or at least ours does, a lot of dips. And so you get the hay bale, it's like Tetris, but with a big live Tetris, and you're the collector. And so you're coming up to this bale and you got to get it in this chute, and you've got like an inch on the other side leeway, and you're just about to get it in, and it goes boom, and the tractor hits a dip and it just spears the bale and it splits it apart. And yeah,
So
not
it's your
so much
favorite piece
fun.
of equipment?
Oh, yeah. My favorite one on my list to blow up.
Now, Eric mainly runs that because you hate it so bad?
Um, he runs it because I'm doing the baling. Because I do the cutting, the raking, the cutting, and the baling, and I can go through and fine tune the baler and fix anything that goes wrong on it, and just really, I've done it since we've been out here for 12 years.
Yeah.
So he has, somebody has to collect the hay, so that's what he's been doing. But he also has a height advantage too, so he can see a lot better than I can,
Yeah.
and maneuver the tractor a little bit better than I. I don't know. He's a lot more talented at it than I am, and I've done it several times. He's like, you just need to get used to it. I'm like, I've been doing it for hours and it's not getting better.
That's funny. Do you guys have any farm background? Like, did you have any background in agriculture?
No, no, I was a full-on, well, I say city girl because I lived in the city, but I was technically a woodsman girl because we lived in the woods. So my
Okay.
parents were fortunate enough to live in town, but they backed up to state property, which is all woods. So as kids, we just ran wild through all that land. My grandparents were dairy farmers, and they were some of the top in the state, at least in their area, but they got out of farming because my grandpa was in an accident way before I was born. So I never knew anything about farming life. They just lived out in the country in a different, little plot of land, some grass to mow. And so I was never exposed to that. And my mom was spoiled rotten as a kid.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to do any of the farming stuff. She got ponies and lambs and dance lessons and ballet lessons, and she was just, yeah, she was definitely a little princess. But so Eric did have some farming background. His grandpa did have a farm next door to his mom's house, and so um, his grandpa was getting out of it too by that time. So he had a little experience with planting sweet corn and just a little bit experience with some hay. And actually, we started our farming with his grandfather's tractor, which is the old Farmall C, not a Super C, which Farmall fanatic likes to ask. No, it's just a regular C. So that was where I cut my teeth on farming, was on that thing with a regular pull behind sickle bar, and that was just, yep, you definitely appreciate, yeah, the modern technology of equipment after that.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's cool. So you were saying that you've been through how many clutches? You went through some clutches on the TYM tractor, is that right?
We
Or
went
a
through one
clutch?
clash. Yeah, we
Okay.
went through one clash because when we were ordering the tractor, it was kind of like, do we want it to go hydrostat or do we want to go geared? And it was like 50-50 use either way because we were going to do a lot of field work with it, like raking the hay, tedding the hay. Tedding the hay is my favorite with the TYM because I can just whip it right around really quick. Um, but then also with the grapple accumulator, see, that was a new piece of equipment for us, and we were not aware of how much flushing was involved with it
Yeah.
to upon. So that was just kind of the perfect storm. With all the
Gotcha.
flushing involved with collecting the hay, it just burned that flush right out of the ceiling.
Yeah. So
So
is your leg and Eric's left leg both the left leg is bigger than the right from mashing the clutch, 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 clutch?
oh
Oh.
man, yeah, yep. So I finally told Eric to just use the foot throttle because then you can like speed up to it and then automatically slow it down instead of having to push the clutch in to slow down. So you can kind of play around with it a little bit and
Yeah.
find that sweet spot. But yeah, your legs just, especially when you're carrying the stack of hay to stack it on the wagon, you definitely have to clutch good for that and bring it in gently. You can't just
Yeah.
throttle off.
There's a so I've got a John Deere 5065 and it's a geared clutch tractor, and I used it to clear a lot of the land back here and brush piles and stuff with the grapple. And I knew right away when I started talking with TYM that I wanted to make sure I got a tractor that was hydrostatic, because you pull up, all you do is mash a pedal, go forward, mash pedal, go backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so easy and simple. I don't know what the longevity of that's going to be. And I do agree, it's a pain in the butt if you're mowing. You can set a cruise on there, but if you go up a hill, it slows way down. If you go down a hill, it speeds way up. It's not like
Oh,
right on
okay.
point.
Right.
So some of the struggles. You guys thought about a skid steer for picking up hay?
So Eric has talked about a skid steer. He would love for this skid steer. And before we got the TYM, we had used this skid steer for at least, I think it was one season. And we definitely know that trap skid steers are not good for hay fields. It will tear the snot out of your field. But even still with a skid steer, trying to see with the accumulator, because you sit a lot lower in a skid steer. So that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt too. Um,
Mm,
but then, of course, the added expense. But, if
yeah.
Eric was very he's like screaming up and down about how we just get here.
You got it would. Have you seen those articulating loaders like the cast loader that I have? Like Bobcat makes one, also. They bend in the middle like a Ventrac
Yeah,
tractor, and they don't
yeah.
tear the land up. They got great big tires. Now they will, if you don't have a good seat on it, they will beat you to death. But that might be the perfect tool for you. Let me do a little head scratching here. I might be able to connect you with the guys at Cast Loader. They're all about showing that machine on a farm, and they're not too
Oh,
far from you. They're in Minnesota, so I'd
oh, okay,
say,
yeah.
what's that, 2 states over?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I think Minnesota technically connects to Michigan through the UP, I think. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're up there on the lakes.
yep, Minnesota. Um, so let
We
me
make
ask
fun
you.
of them a lot.
Yeah, don't you know? No, you betcha.
Yeah.
That's a Canadian thing, I guess. You betcha.
I
Um,
was wondering, like, how did Minnesota end up with all those weird accents and nobody else up there on the border?
uh, I don't know. One of my favorite movies is Fargo. And I know
Yes.
that's one of my favorite movies. If you guys haven't seen Fargo, when we get done watching this, go watch Fargo. It's a great movie. Yeah, you betcha. uh,
Um,
Do I sound like a Southern hick to you? That's the next question. Do you pick up on the Southern accent here a little bit, or do I sound like a total hick,
not
or what we got?
really. No, I
Like
mean,
to
I
me,
lived in Virginia for a couple of years, but I wouldn't say like I knew people that had a really strong accent. I'd say you have just like a little bit of one, but listening to you, I would assume that maybe you moved into North Carolina at a later point and that you didn't grow up there.
yeah, I grew up in Virginia, about 20 minutes from here, but I lived in Utah for. I was in the Air Force out there. I lived in Utah for about 10
Oh,
years, and I kind of lost a little bit of the accent.
hmm.
Everybody around here talks much more southern than I talk, and I get people asking me, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from here, but I just don't have the dang wang twang tang tang twang twang quite as bad as most
Yeah.
people." But give me a couple of beers, and it will definitely surface. And this is water, by the way. This is hose water, by the way. I'm a Generation X hose drinker.
Oh, I
So.
know there's three people that would scream about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you're drinking from the hose. Your face is gonna fall off. Oh. So tell me, do you guys, do you, what do you do for fitness? What do you do? I know I'm gonna tell you about a funny video of yours that I saw. One of my favorite videos that you did, and I know you know which one it is. But what do you do? Do you go to the gym or anything? Because look, show them the guns. You got the guns. Like you guys stay pretty
This
fit,
is
both of you.
mostly from this is from drywall.
Is it?
So this is well, I mean, I think naturally I tend to muscle out on the top, but I mean between carrying buckets of water and doing hay and now with the house stuff, you're carrying drywall and you're carrying boxes of flooring, and it's just you're always carrying something, so
Yeah.
it doesn't go down in that
So no
area.
gym, no gym, no exercise, no running, no nothing. You just stay
No.
fit just
Well,
from
I
farming.
I do I do try to make a point and I'm running from one side of the farm to the other to try to work like the other half of myself
Okay. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that it just doesn't muscle out as nicely as the top. So I wish it was all like concentric, but it's not. So I'm like, all right, let's do a jog from here to there.
And the
So it's
neighbors are
all the
thinking,
little things.
your
Why
neighbors
do
are
you
like,
run
she's
all
running
the
from
time?
them. She's running from them bees again. I can see her going. Look at her.
Yeah,
uh,
that's about the size of it. But yeah, that's
that's
just just trying to find those little things to like keep keep the calories burning and you
yeah.
know
Well, I'm
hopefully it'll work the
naturally.
rest of my life.
I have to go. I have to get off the farm. I have to leave 3 to 5 days a week, and I go to a local town here that's about a half hour away. I have to get off the farm, clear my
Yeah.
head. It's just
Hmm.
so much all the time. I've got to step away because when
Yeah.
most people look back here and they see this, they say beauty and probably just like you see work. I need to do that. I need to do this. I need to do that. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so much work, so much hard work. Um,
And you
so
need the
I have to
people
get
too.
off.
You need to get out in the community and you need to just be around other adults and not just animals that are always like, I
Yeah,
need something.
yeah.
So
You need to
it's
talk
just
to people. I've got an awesome friend group at the gym, mostly
oh
old
nice.
bunch of old men that we all get together and uh, they have. I have not been invited to the old man group yet, but there's the old man group. It's the Silver Sneakers men that all go out probably once a week. I think every Thursday, and I haven't been invited out yet, but I'm waiting for my invite. I'll be the youngest old man in the group, but I think I'm
Oh
graying up nicely, so I might fit in. It's good
well.
stuff. Good stuff. So is Eric gonna pop his head in?
I don't know. I can't. I still. I haven't. I have to like click on the chat specifically, and then
No,
um.
Eric. Is Eric gonna pop his head in?
Oh,
Oh, in the
in
chat.
the
He
caption.
might already be in.
Yeah, he might be in the chat. I don't know. I can't.
We got to get him in the
Oh,
room.
there's
We
a
got to get him to just pop
Dave
his head
White
in and
from
say,
Flint.
right,
West
there's
Virginia.
all sorts of there were some nasty conversations going on in there a second ago. You know, people got to behave. Come on now. I lost my upper accent after being here. Yeah. So anyway, it's a good time.
Can
Um,
we talk about the
yeah, yeah. So
fundraiser really quick?
you've written a children's book, is that right?
So years ago when I was an Air Force wife, my daughter was really struggling with her dad's deployment, not Air, because my ex-husband. And there
Okay.
weren't any books out at the time to kind of really help her with it. And during that time, there was a lot of negativity towards the military. Like the media was just spinning all sorts of crap out there.
Yeah.
And like friends were telling stories, about things their husbands were going through of like different humanitarian type missions that they did that media just never covered. So, my head began spinning, and so I just kind of put together this book, and over the years, just kind of like tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it. And it's about a little girl who her dad's on deployment, and she just doesn't understand why he's not coming home. She's kind of not understanding the whole concept of being gone for a set period of time, and so it walks through her different emotions of anger and frustration. And then at the end, she gets a letter from her dad telling her about another little girl he met in whatever country he's in and how she had lost her dad and she was scared and alone and sad. And so he basically takes her under his wing and just kind of helps her. And at the end of the story, the little girl kind of realizes that maybe it's not about her dad being gone, but her dad. And she's basically kind of sharing her dad with other people that need him. So it's just kind of really putting a lot more heart into, our troops are overseas, but they're not just fighting. It's not just fighting. It's not just fighting.
Yeah.
They really focus in on trying to make the community better. And so I just, um, that was heavy on my heart. But the reason that
Yeah.
I just put this
Show
out to
us. Put it up
publish,
here.
so this is available on Amazon.com, and
Okay.
it's called Soldier's Child. Um, by Suzanne Swift. That was my maiden name from when I wrote it.
Cool.
And so I published this because a friend of mine, her husband was active duty Army for 25 years, and they were married for 22 years. And when you're in the military, you sacrifice so much of your time and your life and all the special moments because you're trying to make the world a better place. It's not just picking up a paycheck, but you're really involved with what you're doing. And so
Yeah.
he retired just 2 years ago, but she wasn't aware that his PTSD was as bad as it was. And so he ended up taking his life just a month and a half ago and
Oh,
just absolutely devastated her. I mean, they were looking forward to, all the things that they had put on hold for 22 years.
yeah.
Now it's all this just gone. But the problem is, she was left with nothing. She didn't know that he hadn't signed up for the post-military life insurance. Um, when you're in the military, things are very regimented, same,
Yeah.
same, same, same. So when you have different paperwork, it's kind of easy to either miss or overlook, or maybe they didn't present it to him correctly. She's not sure.
Yeah.
But like all of the pensions were lost, all of disability. So all of the money that she had been expecting to be there is just no more. So she was reaching out to people online and nobody was helping her. And I mean, come on, 22 years of your marriage is sacrifice. And she was actually in the army too before
Yeah.
they got married. So I decided to launch this book along with a merchandise campaign to donate
Okay.
100% of the proceeds to her for the next 6 months to try to
Nice.
raise money to help her get back on her feet. Because,
So, what's the website? And when we get done here, I'll post this down in the on a comment for everybody here. What's the website? Or
so it is on the farm website,
okay,
www.zans, Z-A-N-S, farm.com. And then
okay,
there should be a link at the top that says Soldier's Child.
okay.
Um,
Let me
where you
try to
can,
post that right now.
okay,
ZANS Zans
Z-A-N-S, farm,
Farm.
yep,
Okay.
.com.
I'm typing like a 4-year-old. Yeah, my eyesight's going.
It happens to the best of us when we get old.
I know. What happened? While I'm entering this, what did you do in the Air Force?
It was my ex-husband. So he worked in the he did intel, so he worked with the Predator drone program.
Okay.
So he had a top secret security clearance, and they basically flew all the missions over in Iraq looking for Osama bin Laden and dropping bombs and stuff and spying on them, using all the imagery. That was way back when the technology was first coming out. So we were stationed in Las Vegas, which was the headquarters for the Predator drone program.
Gotcha.
Um,
Cool. You don't need to
yeah.
get into too much detail. That seems pretty, uh, pretty fancy. Not. It just seems pretty daggone complicated. I'm trying to get this to post. Maybe I could get one of my moderators in here. If you guys can post that ZANS farm FARM.com. One of my moderators. One of you guys post that comment, please, so people can find that, and they can go in there and they can donate. This this family. This is part of why we're doing the live stream
Yeah.
tonight, to help this family. And I think it's really admirable that Suzanne is donating all the proceeds. Show them the book again. Hold it up again. This is a book
So this
that,
is the book.
yep, put it right on up to the screen.
You
Let's see what we got here.
So
Soldier's
you can
Child.
also, if you go to the website, there's also links on there. So if you want to buy copies of the book and have it sent to a military base and a family on the base, there
Yeah,
are links with addresses on there too. So you could have your Amazon copy sent directly to a military family. And
awesome. Awesome. Cool.
but then we
Well,
also
and
have some merch that has a flag on it that says "Not Forgotten." Just a reminder that our chiefs, they don't always just die overseas; they die over here too.
yeah.
And
So all the profit from this is going to go straight to this family to help this this
her
young
get back on
lady.
her
And
feet and pay her
yeah,
bills and try to sort through life.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's sad, unfortunate, and it's very admirable of you to do that. And thank you, Dave. Dave's posted a link, guys. You can click that link
Oh,
or
thank
just
you.
copy and paste that. Mm. Well, that's awesome. It's awesome that you've written a book too. That's pretty cool too. It looks like it be a pretty easy read and probably something that would
Yeah.
apply to anybody with children. Something to read to them. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good talking point for kids. I grew up like, I had relatives that fought in XYZ war, but I wasn't exposed directly to it, so I was kind of one of those spoiled brat kids that's like, oh, why should I care about the military? Like, woo, woo, because
yeah,
I was just one of those stuck up kids, and I didn't know any better. Like, nobody had sat down and told me about, what what sacrifices they have to make or anything like that. And then, lo and behold, like, my husband decides he's going to go in the Air Force. So then
yeah,
I get to see it firsthand. But
yeah,
it's so easy to just let the media tell our kids what they should believe instead of actually walking through, just the reality of it.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Suzanne, it has been fantastic having you on the show tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. And guys, again, zansfarm.com. You can find the link in the comments there. And I'll go back after this and I'll put a link down the video description for you guys. Um, that all the proceeds are going to go to help this young lady who lost her husband recently and just needs
Hmm.
to get back on her feet. She's left with nothing, and half her family's gone too, which is just, part of her
Yeah,
family's gone. So it's just horrible, horrible thing. But hopefully we can give back a little bit. And yeah, it's great.
I
Suzanne,
know
thank you
she'd
so
appreciate
much.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I brought you a little present too. Do you want to guess
Uh
what it
oh.
is?
Uh
I
oh.
promise
What
you
we
it's
got?
not alive anymore.
It's not alive anymore. I don't know. What is it? Skunk. That's pretty awesome.
Do you want me to send it
Is
to you in
that?
the mail?
Oh, you're gonna send that to me? What is that? A real skunk?
Yeah, it's a real skunk.
Is it off your farm or is this something you found somewhere?
Yeah, it was in the farm. I collected it in a bucket.
Did you do that? Did you make that?
Oh, it's
What do you call
frozen
it?
right now.
Oh, it's frozen.
Yeah, it
Oh,
might be dinner for the neighbors. I don't know. We'll see.
does it stink?
No, not at the moment because it's just a baby and it's frozen. But if there's any for somebody you don't like, you can always just set it on their doorstep and just wait and see what happens.
Oh,
Actually,
Suzanne, what
this
are we
one
gonna?
I put this in the porta potty when our builders were out there, and I just waited to see like what was gonna happen. Pretty soon you hear a lot of swearing and cursing and somebody running out of the bathroom.
That's awesome. I wish I had it. I'm having a get together here tomorrow night. I wish I had it for tomorrow night. That would be pretty funny. Stick it in the porta. I got a porta potty sitting over here because I don't have any plumbing in my
Oh
shop
yeah.
yet. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Tell Eric I said
Yeah.
hey. And guys, again, Zan's Farm. Can you spell it again?
ZANS Farm, FARM.com,
.com.
and a
Gotcha.
soldier's child at the top.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for joining me. Thank you, Suzanne. Guys, we're going to have another guest next week. I'm trying to get Stanley the Dirt Monkey to join us.
Ooh,
Do you know
that'll be
Stan? Have you met
fun.
him?
I
Yeah.
have not met him, but I've watched his videos.
He is a
Eric's a huge
handful.
fan.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and he's a new Christian. You
Oh,
know, he's newly found God, and that's kind of interesting. I want to
wow.
talk to him about that story, how he came to that. Lots of trials and tribulations in all of our lives, so it's
Yeah.
interesting to see that. But thank
Well,
you
I'll
so
definitely
much.
have
Farm
to
Off
tune in
Fanatic
next
just popped.
week.
Yeah,
Oh,
Farm
today.
Off Fanatic is in here now.
Hey, bud.
Yeah. Well, take care, Suzanne. Thank you so much for going live with me tonight.
Alrighty,
I
thanks,
appreciate it, guys.
guys.
Hit that like button. Go over to This Life We Live and check out what Suzanne's up to on her place in Michigan. Farming, building a house, all kinds of fun stuff.
All kinds of stuff.
Yep. Oh,
Alrighty, thank
the
you, guys.
funniest
Thanks,
video,
Josh.
the funniest
Oh,
video you ever
yeah.
did was how you stay fit by eating worms
Oh,
in
the
the
tapeworm
horse.
diet.
Yeah, what was it called?
Yeah, it was called the tapeworm diet. And the funny thing is, like, people don't realize that it's all just a joke when I'm laughing and I even write in there, oh, this is just a joke. And they literally think that it's real. And so what I did was I cooked up orzo pasta to those little
Uh-huh.
tiny pastas and they look like tapeworm segments. And so you
Yep.
could sprinkle that on something and make people think that it's either maggots or tapeworm segments and then just casually, like pick it off something and eat it. So I was showing them on the cat nuggets in the barn and shaking them off. And of course I had another bowl of clean
Yeah.
pasta. And so I go in there and I start dropping them down my throat and yeah,
How many
people
views did
just
that thing get? Did that get like millions?
no. I mean, it was one of my earlier videos. I think it was maybe 300,000.
Yeah.
Which for one of my first videos was pretty good. Actually, the cat that you saw sitting on the sofa, he had a bat fly up his nose, and that was one that got a couple million views of
Ugh.
him with the bat fly up his nose. So he's a
It's the
famous
weirdest
cat.
stuff. That's how I found you, was the tapeworm diet. That's how,
Oh,
like, it
really?
recommended the tapeworm. So guys, yeah, that was a funny one. So, well, check out at This Life We Live, and you're still WT Farm Girl over on Facebook, right?
Yep, on Facebook and Instagram. They won't let me change the name that I figured out. But then I also do have a WT Farm Girl new YouTube channel too. And there's a link
Okay.
on my channel for all of that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, check her out. We'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge. The sun's gone down. I got to go move the cows in the dark.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. Take care, Suzanne. Thank you so much.
All
Guys,
right, thanks.
have a great day.
All right, bye.
Bye.